So should we try to not take Zidane's line here out of context with his general character? Welcome back to Crit and Crit. I'm Sit.
I'm Axion.
And we are going to complete our discussion of William Shakespeare's The Tragedy of King Lear while we continue to play through Final Fantasy IX. So, as with a lot of Shakespearean tragedy, things are not going well. Things don't go well. Things generally could be going a lot better. The people who bad things should be happening to aren't, and the people who should have, theoretically the way paid for them because they're good and decent people are having their lives completely ruined by the edgelords. So, yeah, how do we fix this? Alright, we don't because it's a 400-year-old play and we can't touch it, but how do we fix it?
Well, first and foremost, let's try learning from our mistakes and, more importantly, learning from the mistakes of others.
Maybe. But something else to look at here is with the concept of things are not going well, people are being mistreated, there should be some way to fix this. What we're really looking for is some idea of justice and fairness, but what does that mean?
Well, that is a question that has plagued society for eons. Humans have been asking themselves what defines justice, what defines being just, since humans started asking themselves questions.
Okay, so I think one thing to note with a lot of Shakespeare's plays is the characters are generally nobility.
Mm-hmm. Which
and
we
you can probably tell.
We discussed back in the whole nobles have farther to fall, therefore their fall is more tragic discussion.
Yeah. Well, I'm taking this in a more depressing direction, which is nobles have a different justice system from us groundlings.
That is also true. That is also very, very true.
And I think that plays out very, very heavily throughout King Lear, of the people who have the power to shield themselves from consequence are more than happy, in this case, to mete out consequence on anybody they see having wronged them in some way.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most glaring example of this has to be the torture of the Duke of Gloucester.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we've mentioned before, it's so bad that the unnamed servant character in Cornwall's house attacks Cornwall to try and stop it, because I can't just stand here and let you do something like this. What is wrong with you? This isn't right. And here's where we kind of have to start getting really deeply philosophical, because justice and fairness are two very closely mentally linked concepts, but very rarely do they actually work together in practice. For our purposes, justice is the law is working to uphold a coherent, cohesive, and safe society. Fairness is equal treatment. Under a fair and just system, the laws apply to everyone, regardless of how much money you have to bribe people away. In reality, that's not usually how it happens. So, Gloucester is, branded a traitor because he's still on Lear's side in this whole situation. Because, well, It's not like Goneril and Regan are doing a stand-up job of running the country after him, and there's all sorts of problems going on there, but since he did technically cede his power to them, they make the law, Lear does not. So the idea in this case would be justice is bringing this person to heel because they are flouting the rule of the land. This is not necessarily moral. Laws and morality often work against each other, though many people try to claim that laws create morality. Be it a statute on the books, be it dogma from a holy text. Trying to link law and morality in the same, even though putting some of these into practice leads to immoral consequence.
Mm-hmm.
So, Gloucester is branded a traitor, which means a traitor is to be treated accordingly. As in, like, probably questioned, executed. He's not. He's tortured and left to live with that. So, even in the context of we must deal with this traitor, his punishment is seen as neither fair nor just, even by the people around Cornwall. And this leads to Cornwall's death.
Yep. Because the concept of justice here is being conflated with the I'm trying to find the right words. Sorry, I know what I want to say, but I'm having trouble finding the words to say it.
We're having a delightful cocktail of the concept of morality, justice, and fairness.
And vengeance.
Yep.
Because Gloucester's punishment is a little bit less about, at least as I'm reading it, a little bit less about you broke the law and more you offended my sensibilities, you crossed my ire. I'm going to punish you, not so much because you've done something wrong, but because I am upset by what you've done, and I want to make you suffer for making me angry.
Yep, and to note, the definitions we have listed do not include vengeance in that, because justice, again, refers to ensuring the application of the laws of a society. Vengeance falls outside of justice's umbrella, even though many people, again, like to conflate the two, because they like to think that they can put their feelings as the law of the land, their personal predilections as what governs everybody else's morals, even when that is definitely not the case. Like, Edmund clearly sees it as something is the correct choice of action to screw over his entire family, gets them killed as long as they're out of the way so he can inherit everything, and very nearly gets himself to become the King of England entire as a result. So that's fun. And it's not until he gets his butt handed to him by his big brother that he sees the error of his ways, which kind of leads into the whole might makes right philosophy, which has its own problems. But we're in a weird situation where Lear dividing up his kingdom in the stupidest way possible is kind of the least concern, even though it is the domino effect for everything.
Sid.
Okay, I have a question about Lindblom.
Uh-huh.
Who's he supposed to be? Who's he the regent for?
I don't know.
Did he turn the actual ruler into something?
I have no idea.
I'm writing fan fiction in my head now.
No!
What? How do you know that the chocobo that you encounter isn't the true king of Lindblom? Because the fact that they have a regent means that the rightful heir is not technically on the throne. Someone is ruling on their behalf. I'm sorry, I've derailed our discussion.
So where were we? Where did we leave off?
With a long awkward silence waiting for you to weigh in on something.
Yes, I don't remember what you wanted me to weigh on. That's why I'm asking.
Good question. We were just talking about how Lear was kind of the minor instigator with the whole justice fairness situation compared to everyone else in the play.
Yes. So, Lear made the, let's call it, tactical error of handing over all of his power to his daughters. They proceeded to do whatever the heck they wanted. And as we see from the entire rest of the story, they're not exactly shy about just Zidane, don't be a jerk. She's trying to work. It's your favorite.
Nope, I've already told you who my favorite is. You already got her my favorite. She's not bad, but she's not my favorite.
She's a favorite. Let's put it that way. Anyway. Oh, I didn't know Freya was left-handed. Anyway, we see throughout the entire rest of the story that Goneril and Regan are just super eager to just take advantage of their new power and do whatever the heck they want, as vile and violent as it might be.
And I just find that weird because, like, at first it just seems like they're fairly reasonable. Of like, man, I am irritated with the way that my father keeps acting like an idiot and taking advantage of my hospitality. It's really, really obnoxious and expensive. And then it escalates very quickly to, let us commit war crimes, my dear sister.
Yes. And as we've said in prior episodes, a lot of the early stuff that, with regards to their interactions with Lear himself, is relatively justified. But it very quickly escalates beyond that.
So, I think the danger we really have with regards to justice is, well, conflating the idea of I am in power with I am the law, which is not a good situation for anyone to be in. Because then what is and is not considered to be right and wrong by the mores of society is subject to shift at the whims of fearless leader. All the more dangerous if your fearless leader is mentally unstable, like our friend Edmund clearly is if he's going to behave like this.
I'm not sure I'd say that Edmund is mentally unstable. I'm going to argue that. I think Edmund is perfectly lucid.
I don't think mentally stable people are like, you blinded my father? Cool beans.
I don't think that you have to be insane to be morally reprehensible.
And I think sociopathy is in the DSM, so it is a mental illness.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. Still, point being, he's a vile person, but he's completely lucid. He is completely maybe not sane, but aware of his own activities and responsible for his own actions.
Okay, that I'll give. But the point is, like, when morality is hinged on let's not offend the person wearing the crown, and they're not the most level person to deal with, because remember, he was willing to string along both Goneril and Regan so he could get their inheritance.
Yes.
And who is in your favor can change on a freaking dime. That's not a way to run a coherent system. That's not a way to run anything except, into the ground. So, yeah, you shouldn't run on the spoils system, and that's why we should all take a collective field trip to desecrate the grave of Andrew Jackson for introducing that. Among other reasons, we should go insult the grave of Andrew Jackson. But yeah, the way you treat people should not be contingent on, well, this guy told me that they're bad and I don't have any proof of that, but I listen to everything I'm told without any sort of critical thinking on my own. Probably not a great way to do things. So, yeah, justice and fairness. The law should be able to be fairly applied to everyone. Everyone who commits an offense should be treated the same way, and the goal of a justice system is, to create stability, not to be the stick of divine retribution to anyone who violates in a way that you don't like. Because this is where we can talk about recidivism rates. When the purpose of a prison system is punishment, retribution, rather than rehabilitation, people are more likely to commit repeat offenses because you've done nothing to prepare them for rejoining society, for becoming a productive and contributing member of society. Even if they want to go straight, even if they want to start over, they want to try and have a second chance, nope, we're not going to let you because we benefit from this in some way.
Yep.
And
we are uninterested in actually the word just fell out of my brain.
Reforming?
Close?
Rehabilitating?
Rehabilitating, yes. We're not interested in actually rehabilitating people. We want to punish people less for the fact that it prevents them from doing, future crimes, and more for the fact that it makes us feel good to see the people that do things quote-unquote wrong suffer.
But only some of the people who do things, because living in the United States, you can see there's a very clear differentiation in the rates of incarceration for identical crimes among certain demographics, and I'm going to leave it there because I can go down this rabbit hole for a while, and I don't want to turn the discussion on Shakespeare into a lengthy diatribe about something else.
Yeah. Let's just say we have seen multiple situations like this exact scenario in real life throughout many years in this country, and
in other countries, as we currently get to see play out on the world stage right now, because we can't call it what it clearly is. We can't say what is very clearly happening, even though we have several UN definitions of a certain crime that is clearly happening, and we can't say it because that might make the wrong people sad.
But yeah, it's... the more things change, the more they stay the same. The only thing that changes is some of the names.
Yeah, meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Yep.
So, ultimately, King Lear, I think, is a story of justice gone wrong. There is no check in place to prevent terrible people from taking power, as we've seen in the case of Edmund, Goneril, and Regan. There is nothing in place once they have absolute power to stop them from doing horrible things, as seen in the case of Gloucester, though. High five to the servant over there for being the only one willing to take a stand against this nonsense. So, yeah, it's... when you create a situation of absolute power where justice is tied to the whims of the ruler, you don't have justice. You don't have anything resembling balance. You don't have a functioning society. You have utter madness and insanity happening. So, the only way to fix that is to make sure you have checks on power. This is honestly the importance of the United States federal system. When it happens, checks are put in for a reason, to stop one person or group from having too much power, because people naturally try to abuse it. Anyone who says they don't is either a miracle or deluding themselves. So, yeah, there's a reason for rules. Because as much as we get annoyed with, yeah, there's so many rules and so much red tape, it's there for a reason usually. It's there for a good reason. Because I have left children alone with a bowl of candy and they will fight over candy. Even if it's just the stupid peppermint stuff. Just take one and share with each other. No, I want more peppermint. Oh my god, it's peppermint. Why do you care? If people will get like that over something as inconsequential as the dollar store bag of mints I can put out in a classroom, how will they get with something that actually matters, like societal influence?
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah, if men were angels, we would need no laws. We're not.
Yep. The problem is that even when we have laws, we end up with people who are...
I love that. Get rid of the Moogle. It was yelling Koopa all night.
I mean, that's a viable question. Or a viable concern if it's actually disturbing your sleep. But yeah.
It's a Yelp review about Yelps.
But yeah,
So yeah, in an ideal situation, we have just enough rules in place that basically boil down to treat people the way people need to be treated, and you don't get to define what counts as a person, because the fastest way to lead to injustice is to start marking people as not people. Once you dehumanize someone, it is far easier to get your mind in a good place. Well, a place, I wouldn't call it good, in a place that is capable of mistreating your fellow humanity.
Yep. And that's kind of the problem with, especially with the whole, if men were angels, we wouldn't need laws, is just as often you make the laws, and then the people interested in subverting them just find a way around, or find a way to make the law not apply to them, or
Found the full quote.
Have the law change so that it doesn't affect them, or just do it anyway. And because if the punishment for a crime is a fine, then the crime only exists for the lower class.
Yep, so Federalist 51. But what is government itself but the greatest of all reflections on human nature? If men were angels, no government would be necessary. If angels were to govern men, neither external nor internal controls on government would be necessary. In framing a government which is to be administered by men over men, the greatest difficulty lies in this. You must first enable the government to control the governed, and in the next place oblige it to control itself. Goneril, Regan, and Edmund have nothing motivating them to control themselves. And that is where you have a failure of justice. When your leadership finds themselves above governance, you're done. And when that happens, there can be no fairness. The law changes from justice to vengeance.
Yep.
And what is a society based on vengeance other than just walking into the third grade bully's punching line again and again and again? For whatever reason he feels like making up that day. It's not a way to live. It's nothing to support, because everybody who supports it fails to realize that they're just getting in the line. They're going to get punched too. So, probably not the happiest note we can leave this on, but it's Shakespeare's most notable tragedy, so it doesn't deserve a happy ending.
I was about to say, we were never going to have a happy ending. So it looks like we'll be leaving off here. just in time to get to Alexandria, or Lindblum rather, and do a lot
Lindblum,
of.
which is ruled by a chocobo, the long-lost king.
I will actually look up between this and the next time we play this and find out who the actual king is, or whoever. Might be a queen,
I've told
might
you who
be
the king is.
whatever. Yeah, I don't think it's actually the chocobo, but find out who Sid is regent for. But that's something we can discuss off screen. Point being, we will be returning to Final Fantasy and to another Shakespeare story in the semi-near future. I'm not sure precisely how long
I looked
it'll
it
be.
up and I'm angry.
What?
Sid Fabul IX is a character in Final Fantasy IX. He is an aloof middle-aged man who rules Lindblum as its regent, having succeeded his father, Sid Fabul VIII. That's not what regency means! That's not what a regent is! A regent rules... That's not how words work, Final Fantasy!
I wonder if it's translation error?
Can you translate this gesture you can't see?
Have a good night, ladies and gents, and everyone in between. We'll see y'all next time.